Hello everyone, it's me, Twylla Jane, Redken artist, Sanvia brand ambassador, and salon owner at Little Snack Salon. And I have with me here Dane, and we will be reshaping their haircut into a mullet. Dane has naturally curly hair. As you can see towards the bottom, it's curling up a bit more, and the top has gotten lazy since it's so long and been so long since we've had a haircut. I've already kind of gone through and assessed. If you've ever seen Dane on my Instagrams or anything like that, you'll remember that they usually wear a really strong bowl cut shape over the top. So they're always kind of rocking a mullet, but we're gonna go a little bit softer, a little bit more androgynous with the look, a little less edgy and more soft. I'm gonna first start with sectioning this out in what we refer to as horizontal breakdown. That will give me the top separated from the side, separated from the back, and then separated from the nape. So to start with, I'm just gonna work on the sides and the back. So I'm gonna get everything on the top of the head just out of my way at the moment. So I will be working through that parietal ridge all the way around and just sectioning all this hair up and out of the way for the moment. So I've been loving, I don't know if you guys have seen these yet, but we have these new Velcro Sanvia sectioning. So we're gonna use these instead of clips, again, because this is gonna be predominantly a dry haircut. So what I'm gonna be looking for while I'm cutting is Dane's natural texture to start coming back in. And then at the end, we'll actually go through and get it curly again. So I'm gonna work, like I said, mostly through dry cutting. So now I'm gonna section these sides out of the way from the back, and then I will go through and section the back from the nape. I'm gonna take that whole back section away from the nape section. An easy way to find that if you're just sort of starting out with starting to section the nape and the back of the head is I will show you here, and we'll double check and make sure that I have it sectioned well. If you're to take your comb right at the hairline in the back and then push that up against the head, just above where that exits the skull and starts to come away at an angle is where that nape will end. So you can see here on Dane, sectioning against the back of the head there, and you can see just above that is where I'm sectioning the back from the nape. So that should be right around where the occipital bone falls. All right, so now I have Dane's nape sectioned out. So actually what I'm gonna do through here in the end is just give that a little trim and probably carve out some bits. But for the most part, I'm gonna leave the nape intact because I like this density. We may go through here and at the end and detail some of that out. So I'm actually gonna start in the back of the head. So I'm gonna take this clip and set it on top of this hair. Now I'm gonna work in vertical sections down the back. What we're looking for is not a completely disconnected shape. However, I do wanna leave this density, but I'm looking to make it quite short up in the top of this section and then come down low. So because I'm not looking to completely disconnect this, I'm not gonna go in and chop all this off like that. I'm gonna go in and elevate this up until I start to see right where these ends will match down here. I'm gonna cut just a bit shorter. So now you can see when we over direct that all the way up to the 90, this hair will be a lot shorter than this hair down at the bottom of the section. So I'm gonna work with my 7-inch dry cutting shears. Again, holding everything up at that 90 degrees. I can see right here is where that wings will blend at the end, and I want to go just a tiny bit shorter than that. We'll cut everything square. So right now I'm not concerned about putting a lot of texture in. I'm going to go back and do that later. So it's okay to take these sections blunt. So I'm going to continue this all the way through the back. I will not be over directing each section. We'll use a guide from the previous, but each section will be cut the same way. So it will be the same from the interior as it is to the edges. So one of the things that we want to make sure of so that we don't get really long through the edges is that as we move, so here's my section straight out, and I'm going to take that section straight up. And I want to carve off a little bit from the section before, which I can see here to use as my guide. So straight out from the section, straight up from the section, and cut. And this ensures that, like I said, it doesn't get longer on this edge, which is not what we're looking for. So here's our last section. Over it up. Okay. Now we're gonna move to the sides. One of the things about mullets and these kind of soft shapes like this is that we're looking for disconnection quite often. So when I actually get into the sides here, I'm not looking to connect these sides to the back. But you can see as I start to scrunch up this back, Dane's curl pattern coming back out for us. So we can actually see that starting to set in. So now, just to make sure that I remember that I don't want to connect the sides to the back, I'm going to actually put clips on the back. Now, like we said before, Dane had a bit of a bowl cut. This underneath with that was actually like shaved bald at one point. So what we're going to do is connect now what's grown out, because we like this length of what's grown out that was once shaved, into this. So we're going to connect that. And since we're looking for more of like a androgynous or like a square shape on Dane, I'm going to go ahead and cut these sides square. So I'm going to work in the center of the section first, pulling everything straight out. My guide is the length on the underneath, and cut square. Again, using just a little bit of my guide from the previous section, pulling vertically straight out. You can see that Dane's undercut traveled through the side here, so there won't be much to take off. Okay, so now you can see we have the sides cut. Same thing here. If I start to kind of squish against this hair and zhuzh it up a little bit, you can see Dane's curl pattern starting to come back out through here. So I'm going to move these clips through the back. And I want to finish the shape here before I start to pull the top over. Sometimes what I'll do is I'll be like, all right, here's the shape I'm committed to, and then I'll come to the top, and then all of a sudden I don't love the way everything's coming together. So I want to start to change this shape first. So one of the things that when I was looking at Dane in the mirror is that I want to lean out right through here. So on the actual corners, just behind the ear of Dane's head, I'm actually going to go through and cut short to long, but pulling everything straight out so that we get it tighter, short to long, than when we were pulling everything straight up. So this is going to look like carving everything out of the way that was in, like right at the back end of the ears forward. And then I'm going to take about 1/2 inch to 1 inch here, pull everything straight out. I can see, like if I pull all this kind of up and out of the way, that this hair is not as forward coming on Dane. So I'm going to take this, and my guide for this will actually be these front hairs. So I'm going to take these front hairs, I'll work in the top of the section to keep it nice and neat for you. So as my guide, the top, again, vertical section, vertical positioning, but my finger angle is going to come out at the bottom. So I cut it shorter at the top and a little bit longer towards the bottom. So not quite a 45-degree angle. I'm not looking for a really strong angle on this. I'm looking to keep it tight. So again, vertically straight out, I can see my guide. I'm going to angle my fingers shorter at the top and continue that all the way down through this section. So what will happen here is I will end up cutting some of that original length on Dane's hair, and it's no worries. So it's a really subtle way on a mullet to blend that front corner into the back. So you can see here, this is tightened to Dane's head. Again, when we get this curl in here, tightening that up against their head. So I'm going to do the same thing on the opposite side, that same 1 inch section, just behind, using the top of the sides as the guide. All right, so now we have those sides starting to blend into that back, tightened just behind the ear so that it gives a nice profile or front view on Dane. Now we're going to start to release the top. So I'm going to take these same sectioners, pull them straight up and out, and now I'm going to use them on the bottom. So a trick to these, if you're having any problems, is going in horizontal right at the top of the section. So if I go in right at the top of that section, start to tuck down, and as I push through, I lay that into the hair. And that will give you like a nice clean against the head, keep your section that you had previously. So coming in horizontally and slowly sliding, wrapping that onto the hair. I use these for all sorts of things. One of my favorite is like if you're an extension artist, these are great for getting those little baby hairs out of the way while you're trying to put tape or whatever your adherence method is like your beads, whatever, all those little stray hairs that get in the way. So now we're gonna go through and do the top. We're gonna start with Dane's fringe area. So overall, we kind of like the length that Dane's fringe is currently at. So we just wanna start to give the fringe a good section. The first thing that I'm gonna do, again, working in that horizontal breakdown across the head. So around to the top of the ear, we're gonna make a horizontal sectioning on the top of the head that goes vertical as it wraps down. This will be the crown. And then we're gonna section out the fringe area. So to section out fringe areas, like we're gonna blend everything because we don't want a strong disconnect from the fringe and everything else. But when you're looking to find a fringe where that should naturally fall, same thing with setting your comb on top. A lot of us know how to find that high point. There's two different ways to find where the top of this is. I like to go to the high point and then let it rock again. So where that next pivot point is, or that next rocking point, that is typically where the top part of the bang will be, or the fringe. You can also do that same rocking from here's the forehead and then back to that next rocking point. And then that'll come down right to the corner of the eyes. So like right at the corner of the eye socket, straight. So like I said, we like this length, but right now everything was very blunt. And so Dane's looking to move away from that type of a shape. So if I turn Dane here, what you can see is that the very top of this section reaches all the way to the front of that fringe. So what we're going to do is go in and start to cut some layers into this. So I'm going to take a vertical section, again, down the profile of this. And when I hold this up, what you can see is that it will come short to long here. Now I'm going to come up at a 45-degree angle from this section. And I'm going to go just past so that some of this falls out so that I don't take all the weight away from the perimeter of these. Pull that up at a 45, and then we're going to cut a new angle in here. So let's start with this and see how it goes. We can always cut a more aggressive angle in by pulling it straight up and cutting it even shorter, but let's start here and see how it goes. So again, like we have been doing so far, my sections, same vertical sections, using a little bit of hair from the previous guide, or a little bit of hair from the previous section as our guide, and working through. Actually, when you go through a fringe, it's not so much of vertical sections as it begins to pivot. So I'm saying vertical, they kind of fall that way, but it's actually more of a pivot. So triangles, it'll be have the point at the top and the flat at the bottom. So again, straight out from this section, I have just a little bit to cut off here. And now we can see on this half of the head, like, okay, do we like how that's starting to come through? I do like that. I don't think I want to go much shorter than that. So we'll leave that length and I'll match that on this side. All right, so you can see here as we finish this fringe, again, where we start to scrunch, we're getting some of that curl pattern back in. So now we're gonna work through the top and through the back. So one of the things, because Dane always looked really great in that bowl cut type of shape, I know already that Dane's gonna look good with a little bit of corner in here. So what I'm looking to do, Dane said they'd like everything to push forward. So we're gonna make sure that the center of this stays short so that it has the ability to kind of move forward as opposed to getting heavy and flopping. And what we're looking to do is let it get just a tiny bit longer as it moves out to the edge of this section that I've got working. And so we'll disconnect it from the bottom a little bit and allow a little bit of a corner to sit on here, which again, we already know is flattering on Dane. And also like in terms of like really trying to accentuate a mullet shape when the hair is long, having some type of corner, whether it be up here or out here, depending on what you need to do to someone's face or what's flattering on someone's face is what is gonna like enhance that look. So I'm gonna use as a guide the very top of Dane's fringe here. So unlike what we were doing before, we are still going to work through in thin sections on top of the head. These technically become horizontal sections. We're going to come through, and our shortest, like I said, is going to be straight down the center, using this front as a guide. So I'm going to go through and cut this square. So you can see we're going to get a good amount of length off here through the center. Now we're not looking to get like a crazy amount of length on the outside, so we're not going to take the whole section and comb it up. That would give us like a dramatic amount of length on the edge. what I'm going to do is just take a new horizontal section, and I'm going to pull it into the previous section, or in this case, right to the center of Dane's head. So what should happen is I'm straight up from the original section, and this new section that I'm pulling in is traveling over. So I'm getting cut in this square. Now, I'm going to lay down this very first section I was working through, and this will become my section that I'm pulling towards. So this needs to come out from 90 degrees on that part of the head. So as the head rounds, this angle will change. So from here, coming a new section up to the previous. This should be coming out about 90 degrees from there, and we'll cut. So now what we should begin to see as we continue this through, a long bit there, is we should begin to see this get a little bit longer or have almost like a curved shape through the length of it. Now what we should have is this being a bit shorter in the center and just a tiny bit longer as it moves towards the edges. So I'm going to continue that on this side of the head as well. All right, so now we have this top finished, and we're going to go through and we're going to remove this sectioning on the side so we can start to see how this is blending in. So you can see that little bit of corner that we're building, which will be enhanced even more once Dane's curls come out a little bit more. But you can start to see them now. And then we'll go through and do a little bit of texturizing as well. But before we do that, we need to cut this last section. So I like to save this section for last because I think that this is kind of like, in my opinion, like the most important part of a mullet. Like if you cut this area wrong, it'll make the whole shape look incorrect. And that's my opinion. So I can see like what I'll do is kind of get everything around it shaped out so that I can see like how do I want to cut this area. Can I just go really short with it? Does it need to help build some structure in on somebody's head? Should it have stick-up ability? Is that what they're looking for? What is it that they need out of this section? So I can see here on Dane, we started to build that corner in the back. And I think what we'll look for is a little bit of that. So mirroring this front, then giving some lift through here that blends into the back, but also like gives a little bit of the continuation of this like edge or this corner that we're looking for in the back. So that is, you can see about what I'm looking for there, this. Again, I like that this is falling over. When I go and scrunch this, I don't mind this little bit of length collapsing through here. So I want the shortest bits to be on top. So for this section, we are going to take everything and over direct it to the front of the section. So I'm going to do an actual like compress cut here. So you can see I have that directed forward from that whole back section. We can use this front little bit as a guide. So I'm going to use a guide from that previous section, pulling everything forward. Look at it, cut it square. So that will give us the short to long to start to thin roll this corner in the back, give Dane some nice volume. And now we're going to go through and do our detail work. So now we're going to go through and just do a little detail work. So some of the places that we've already like noted on Dane's haircut are a little heavy, is like these corners coming into the front. Also, we'll do some styling to get them to move that way as well, but like right off the bat, they want to swoop right back down. I'm also going to go through and detail this corner of the fringe into the sides, and then take this corner out of the back. I'm going to work with two different tools here. I'm going to use my 14-toothed texture shears, as well as the 7-inch dry cutting shears. So I like both of these in dry cutting situations, and I also like them on wavy and curly textures. These specifically give some nice weight removal without making it frizzy. So they'll give some negative space into it. The places where I need deeper negative space or like deeper pockets that kind of open up and give frothiness, that's where I'll go in and I'll do some carving with my 7-inch shears. So I'm going to start through these front corners because here more what we're looking for is some weight removal as well as some texture in here. So I'm going to take a sting. So it's like right here, you can kind of see like that wants to flop around. So I'm going to work in that area and I'm going to leave this front corner out because I'm going to do that differently. Let's start through here. I'm actually going to grab a little bit of that hair that's falling down over the side to detail as well. I'm going to take some clips so you can see what I'm doing. In this little like rectangular area on top of Dane's head, in this section into two like 1 inch by 1 inch areas, like a 1 inch squares on every side. And I'm gonna have the shortest part of my detail work in the front and not as much detailing on the back. That'll give us some lift through the front. So you can see here our strong line. I'm gonna go in with my 14 tooth and start to bring out some texture. Again, this front section, as I start to slide up in texture, will get more weight removal in it. I'm gonna do the same thing through the back section. We'll make this side, since we put some more underneath on that side, I'm gonna put more underneath here, falling into this side. So by sectioning, or how I'll hold this out is everything will straight out, but my finger angle for this sectioning will be shorter towards the underneath of the section to give some lift. So more weight removal and more volume through the edge. And now we'll repeat that on the opposite side. All right, now that I've got that removal in both of those front corners that I did with the 14 tooth texturizing shears, I'm gonna go through and carve out some of the hair on this edge. So my sectioning is going to be diagonal coming up into the fringe a little. So a soft diagonal back. Again, I'm gonna use these Velcro sectioners so that I don't get any like hard lines or start to manipulate Dane's curls in ways that I don't want them to lay. And now I'm going to move into my 7-inch dry cuttable shears. So I'm going to start to go through and carve out some little bits through here. So going in at an angle and slowly opening and closing and talking my way down to these sections. I'm coming in not into Dane's hairline, but just below it. So if I open this up here, you can see here's where Dane's hairline is. My shears are coming just past that as I carve out. So I don't want to get any weird swirly bits on the inside. And Dane's. Okay, so now I'm going to come through at the opposite angle to create more of like triangle shapes through this. Again, just opening and closing slowly and talking down that hair strand. And you can see that that's starting to soften up. Through here, I have a little bit of a weight line. So same diagonal back. I'm just gonna point cut a few little triangles into that area as well to soften it up. And I'm gonna repeat that on the opposite side. All right, now we're gonna go through and do the same thing through Dane's fringe. Instead of it having this really strong line, we're gonna go through, cut some points in it, make some little like bite marks out of it. So I think for this, just because sometimes when you're cutting dry on people and they have some curls to them and like their cowlicks start to come out and that type of thing, the hair will kind of like fight against you. So what I'm going to do is section out the perimeter of this, and at a really low elevation, I'm going to take it in with my fingertips and roll it down a pinch. So instead of having it where it sticks straight out, we'll come in and then gently roll it down. Cuts at this angle, and then I'm going to go back at the opposite angle. All right, so now that we have that softened through the fringe, we're going to go into the back of the haircut and finish up. So looking at Dane's hair as I started to pull it out, one of the things that I want to do here is create a little bit more negative space through it. And then I would like to lighten up or loosen up these corners. So overall, when somebody has curly hair or wavy hair and I want to go in and build texture, I like to cut points in. So I'm going to section away this previous section that I cut with the short to long because I like the shape and the weight of that. And I'm going to take this section that's right behind it. I'm going to over direct that so you can see, and I'm going to start to carve into this. So really soft carving up some shorter bits on the interior of this that are going to help start to give that some negative space for those curls to sit up a little bit more and open up. Carve a little more through the top of it. And then if it needs even more than that, then I'll carve down into it again. So like creating those triangle type shapes into it, so that the curls have someone to like hang out with. So you can get all the curls to kind of short to long into one another, or waves to short to long into one another. So I'm gonna stand on the opposite side. Now I cut up before. So now I'm gonna cut down into this same section. Just cutting a little bit of short into the long. So I'm not looking to take off any of the actual length that's in this section, but rather just start to open the section up. So you can see from side to side now, you can start to see how this is gonna sit up on itself and have more volume. And this side is falling a bit heavy and it has that really square corner on it. So I'm gonna recreate the same carving up and then carving down into this 1-inch section right at the corner back of the head. So to finish out Dane's haircut, we're gonna take some weight from these corners back here. So instead of using the 7-inch, I'm gonna switch back to my 14-inch, or 14-inch scissors would be crazy. But my 14-tooth Texturizing shears. Again, I like these because they don't create like really thin pockets that can make curly hair frizzy. You can see, I always am just like kind of moving the hair around. I can see Dane's natural texture coming back through, and I can see where it doesn't want to play with us enough. So kind of right up in these two corners, it's wanting to just be sloppy and not play with us. So I'm going to go through and just pick out that area that I feel. Then I'm gonna start to texturize through this. So I'm taking a 14-tooth, I'm not gonna go straight across the section. I'm gonna take little bites out every couple, like centimeters here. And then that should allow that to play with us a little bit more. Same thing on this side, I can see like that hair there, like it just wants to go wet. And that's how you know it's like not playing with us, as I call it. So again, I'm gonna take this, comb it straight up, take my 14-tooth and just make little bites into the hair. And you can start to see already how that forces the hair into like little points. There we go. We got less flop action, more play. And I think I want to do a tiny bit just right in this center. Not a lot, just kind of right here where I could play with us a little bit more. There's a amount of like intuitiveness to hair cutting that I think is just like practice. So like, yeah, moving the hair around, playing with it, see what it does. And then when the guest comes back, like, how did that work out? You know, and as soon as you start having people be like, oh, my hair did exactly what I wanted, and like that kind of thing, then you know like your intuition is starting to work for like where you should be moving weight, putting detail, putting more signature onto your haircuts. All right, the last thing that I'm going to do here is trim off these little dead ends. So I haven't done this yet. And I'm gonna do just a tiny bit of carving through here to just loosen up these curls so they're not such a like curtain right through the bottom. So again, using my 7-inch, I'm gonna go in at about like right here is where I wanna start seeing it break up. So that's where I'm gonna start to talk through with my shears. Just a little bit, because I don't wanna take a lot of weight out. I just wanna get it to open up a little bit. I just wanna get it to play a little bit. So I'm gonna go through doing my talking towards the right, and then I'm gonna flip and I'm gonna come through and talk in the other direction. And that'll give us like a good balance to the movement. So a little bit of talking, a little bit of talking. If you just go in one direction, it's not wrong. The reason why you would want to move all in one direction is if you want the hair to move that way. Or maybe they have like a really strong cowlick kicking it up in one direction. Maybe you only want to talk through one way to push it back. But for Dane's hair, it's laying down pretty steady, so we're just looking to loosen it up, balanced. All right, now let's style it. So to style this up, we could go through and wash, but Dane has freshly colored, freshly washed hair. So I'm gonna go through with our Redken Refreshing Curl Mist. This is from the new ABC Curl line. And I'm gonna mist this all over. And then we're gonna go through with our Sambia Artist Series dryer. We're gonna put our diffuser on it, and we're gonna start to diffuse this product in and work Dane's curl pattern back in. Switch in with the diffuser, and wherever we needed to curl up or change direction the most is where we're gonna start. So I actually wanna try to work this part line out, and I may actually go and turn forward, down. Like right here, you can see a pretty strong part line. So I'm actually gonna mist a little bit of water. Got my sweet Sambia water bottle. And I'm gonna try to scrub that out a little bit there and give it some lift. So I'm gonna start in this area first. When it comes to diffusing, be careful how much you touch. I wanna touch in here to try to get that out. So I'm sliding my fingers in against Dane's scalp and then pulling back a little bit and pinching through. I'm gonna use the blow dryer on high heat, but the low airflow, and I have the ion switch the Aussie. All right, so now we have everything diffused. I'm just gonna make a little finishing touches. I'm gonna spray a little bit of this curl mist into my fingertips and just refine some of the perimeter of Dane's haircut here. I love this product, like, it just makes the hair like nice and shiny. It smells delicious. It's soft, it doesn't get crunchy. And in terms of like, even after doing like a full dry haircut on Dane, and then spraying this in and diffusing it, like, you know, there's a little bit of that like billowiness always to Dane's hair, but it's not frizzy. So I like that this product helps like kind of maintain and downsize some of that frizz that we could have gotten after doing a dry cut and not completely wetting down and restyling with hair. All right, and there is our finished result. Have Dane give you a little 360. Wait. All right, I hope you have enjoyed your time with us today. Again, I am Twylla Jane, Sambia brand ambassador, Redken artist, and salon owner at Little Snack Salon. I hope you took away some great hot tips for how to cut wavy hair, how to restyle it, and how to get like a really nice, dramatic or visible mullet shape when reshaping haircut.